Hi, I'm Anita Tressler. As you know, due to COVID, the Blue Water International Grand Fondo had to cancel its 2020 live event to launch our documentary, The Big Cycle of Life. But as they say, the show must go on, and so must we. We are here tonight to celebrate the very first showing of a truly inspiring story about how a community has come together to create a signature cycling event that raises funds for palliative care education. Before we begin, let's go inside for a few introductions. Here's my friend, Dr. Glenn Madison.
Thanks, Anita, and good evening. Well, here we are in the empty Imperial Theatre in Sarnia, where a year ago we had planned to be with a sold-out audience. Fortunately, today we are able to stream this film far and wide. Do you know there are people watching from almost every province in Canada? And tickets have been bought in the US, the UK, and even Australia. This film is about passion, the passion of a few people to stage a major bike event with the idea of the proceeds going to hospice palliative care, specifically to palliative care education, because I believe knowledge gives confidence and empowerment. Through this documentary and the Grand Fondo, we were able to indirectly achieve two of our main goals: to relieve suffering and to promote palliative care. This has really been a labor of love for all of us. Enjoy. It's now my pleasure to introduce Canadian cyclist Miriam Brower.
Thanks, Dr. Glenn. I'm so excited to be part of launching this incredible documentary. As a member of the Canadian track cycling team, I've had opportunity to participate in so many cycling events. The Blue Water International Grand Fondo is truly a world-class event that has contributed to a growing cycling culture and enthusiasm for cycling in the Sarnia-Lambton communities. In its past 4 years, the event has grown to over 1,000 participants. I really hope that cyclists and communities across Canada are inspired by the success of this event, this documentary, and Lambton County's dedication to the palliative care discussion. I hope that it motivates you to replicate the success of this event in your own communities. In closing, I'd like to say a huge congratulations to the dedicated team behind the production of this documentary. I'm looking forward to following along with your future endeavors.
Thank you, Miriam, for your kind words. I'm Ken McAlpine, Chair of the Grand Fondo and Executive Producer of The Big Cycle of Life. Thanks for joining us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, performing Swan Song, the film's theme song, vocalist Janet LaPlante.
There's no easy way to start this song. There's no easy way to end. I fought long and hard against the tide. Waves now crash on my mind as I cast through my yesteryears to a stage and age my prime. The days of youth now fades away, if only to turn back time. This is my story, my farewell swan song, my last chance to say I love you just before the dawn. This is my story, my farewell swan song, my last chance to say I love you just before I'm gone. There was no easy way to start this song, still no easy way to end. So let me bear my cross for you, my confidant and friend. This was my story, my farewell swan song. So lie your head down next to mine, I'll not hold you for long. This was my story, my farewell swan song. last chance to say I love you just before the dawn. This was my story, my farewell swan song. My last chance to say I love you just before I'm gone.
Hi everyone, Brad Bradford here, and on behalf of the entire Toronto Hustle Cycling fam, just wanted to say how excited we are to get back to the Blue Water International Grand Fondo. It is one of our favorite events on the calendar, and a huge note of congratulations to Ken and the team on the launch of the Big Cycle of Life documentary that will really give you a sense of what this event is all about and the power of community-led change. See you on the road.
Well, I just got back from a ride, and of course I'm getting ready for the Blue Water International Grand Fondo, and what a job they have done to create a top-notch cycling event for all levels, from beginner to advanced, and you're going to see that with their awe-inspiring film. Enjoy it, celebrate, and of course I hope to see you on the road, on your bike of course.
Finding the narrative framework to bring together a bicycle race and hospice palliative care, and condensing 5 years of sweat and effort into 45 minutes was extremely challenging and a very real privilege. All the words are those of the remarkable and generous people in a community living well and dying well. It was an honor to take their words and tell their story.
Thanks for being here tonight to celebrate with the Blue Water International Grand Fondo. We could never have imagined that creating BIG would lead to such tremendous growth of cycling in our community, with so many people getting active and forming friendships. The past 5 years have been an amazing journey, and we are glad to have you along for the ride. So please sit back and enjoy the Big Cycle of Life.
How to address a very normal and expected outcome for our life, which is dying.
It makes that transition a lot easier.
It did all start with coffee. We went for coffee after biking.
When we got together, I didn't really know Ken, and he didn't really know me.
I'm sure he has thought of this, a Grand Fondo, and raising money, not just when we met, but he had this in his mind for years.
It's been pronounced in many different ways, from Grand Fondo to Grand, I won't say what else comes after the F, but from that. And then when you start telling them it's Italian and it means great big bike ride, people start to get it.
I get a phone call that I have to meet this guy named Ken, have a coffee with him, and talk cycling. And I work in public health, and I've done a lot of work around helping people try to build the cycling culture in the community. So I thought, okay, who's this guy, and what's his event, and what background does he have? So I thought, sure enough, I'll humor him, I'll go meet him and see what it's about.
A lot of us are avid cyclists. We've been to other events out of town, and we really thought Sarnia was ready.
I come from a Dutch family, and so obviously cycling is very much a part of our culture, a part of our passion, and just a mode of transit for us. I call it my church.
No matter what shape your body's in, you can usually find a level of cycling that works for you. You don't need to be 5% of the population to do it, like basketball, let's say. You could be any age. And it also creates social connections that are so valuable and so necessary as a human that really make it enjoyable. So you get the benefit of being able to start small and build on it and feel that success. You get a great feeling afterwards.
I was asked to be part of it, and I said I would be part of it if the money went to hospice palliative care.
You know, I mean, we all are very passionate about hospice here in Sarnia. And so I said, sure, I'll get a cup of coffee out of it anyway.
In my family, my mother and father passed away within 12 months and 13 days of each other. So within a year, we went through two dramatic experiences for our family, and are grateful that we were able to find some dignity in the process and in the end of life for Mom and Dad. And it really raised awareness for us as a family and through our family as a business of how important it is for every other family.
Well, we were approached by a couple key individuals in the community, Ken McAlpine and John Palumbo, who's the chair of our foundation, about the opportunity to create a Grand Fondo up in Sarnia. And they said the intent would be to help support and raise money for the whole palliative program really in Sarnia-Lambton. And so we were clearly very enthused with this.
It's not just palliative hospice care, it's education. Because I feel the more educated our nursing staff is, the more confident they are, the better the care will be.
They would be run totally by volunteers, that no money would be given to anyone involved in the organization of it. 100% of the proceeds would go towards palliative care.
Sometimes we go away on bike trips, and over a glass of wine we discuss what's important.
I personally went through a learning curve. Since being here in Sarnia-Lambton, I've been schooled in the benefits of palliative care.
When I first started, 2003, 2004, and I don't know if Mike mentioned this, they were actually going to close the palliative care unit. The hospital board said, we can't afford it, we're going to close it down. So there was an uprising in this little community, and to the point where there was a demonstration that closed the road in front of the city hall.
And at the very beginning, they had the nerve to say they were going to cut palliative care. I, like you, was horrified.
I have a very simple message. You can't replace palliative care, period.
People who haven't experienced palliative care quickly become rather enthusiastic about the benefits of palliative care.
This is quite possibly the largest protest in a generation in this city.
All I can say is, it's a special place. It's a place of dignity, solitude, care, provided by a couple of dozen Florence Nightingales who basically go overboard to take care of people in the most vulnerable time of their life.
I was set up in Sarnia in the early 80s in family practice, and had the opportunity to work with Dr. Linda Bowring. Linda Bowring is a young woman who really set up what we have today in palliative care. Very much of her work was in addressing the suffering of patients.
One story I tell is this poor man who was in his late 90s. He was on the cognitive unit, severe dementia. He became short of breath. They did a chest x-ray. His lung was full of fluid. They took the fluid off. He had cancer. The fluid kept coming back, so they did this procedure with talc, which didn't work. He got more short of breath. He went to ICU after 2 weeks of that, and he was declining, and also realizing that you can't explain. This man had severe dementia. You can't say, I need to put this needle in your chest, and so they had to tie him down in the ICU. And after 3 weeks of this, the ICU doctor said, maybe we should get palliative care involved. So I was consulted, and one of the things I sort of gently, diplomatically asked the family is, can I ask you, why did you put your dad through this? And the answer was, we were told there was no choice. And so one of our messages has to be, we are a good choice. And I think he would have lived just as long with us right from the beginning if he had none of that done. He eventually went to the palliative care floor, was kept comfortable, and died comfortably, I think, 2 weeks later. But that happens daily in every hospital.
The more you understand about palliative care, the more you recognize it's an underutilized resource that can really alleviate pain and suffering. In the end, that's really what our goal should be in healthcare, is how do you alleviate pain and suffering. Sometimes there is an inevitability to disease process, but as long as we can provide comfort during that time, then it really fits the ethic of anybody that's providing healthcare. It should really be at the core of what we do. And many people turn to us at their times of most need. So the ability to be able to understand and articulate what palliative care provides to patients is critically important.
We have a hospital that believes very strongly in palliative care. The leadership at Blue Water Health is exceptional in its commitment to palliative care. Leadership at the administrative level, at the nursing level. We have a residential hospice that's outstanding.
Everything goes through one hub, and that's our office. So sometimes patients will go from home to hospice, and it's the same doctor, and it's the same computer system. So it's all integrated.
The start of our journey was going into Emerge expecting to get some sort of nutrition for her, and from there we learned that it was esophageal cancer, and because of her frail health there really wasn't a treatment that she could survive. So it switched from being a treatment-based experience to being a make her comfortable part of the journey. So she was moved to palliative care originally, and Dr. Madison was her doctor, and he was the one who introduced St. Joseph's Hospice to us, made us aware of how much more comfortable she would be and you know, the level of care she would receive here.
And describe the comfort and the quietness, the lack of hustle and bustle of the hospital. And we said, yeah.
A little bit of connection into nature, and that can be an important theme for some people here who haven't been able to get outside for a number of days, months, some people years, and for them to come and sit with a breath of wind on their face and in a peaceful, tranquil environment with a lovely pond behind them, watching animals, that can bring such joy and meaning for them.
I think is the best possible situation for my father, but also for us, in terms of feeling like he's comfortable, he's somewhere where he's comfortable, the people around are friendly, supportive of him, and it's all very, very natural and not a medical experience. It's a human experience.
You have this illness, but you also have the essence of who you are, and you have your whole story up to this point. It might be 100 years, it might be 40 years, but that's not where the value is placed. It's placed on you and who you are.
It's remarkable what the volunteers do, from cooking meals to keeping the place running, and you know, coming and asking if there's anything that they could get for us. It was very kind.
Yeah, the care was fantastic.
They told us there was a soup every day, and we didn't actually take advantage of it until her last day, and we were staying and staying, getting more hungry, and so we did. It was very nice to have that available at the time without having to leave her side.
We look at the whole person, and that includes their family, and this is not only biological family, but it's their chosen family and those who they have connection and meaning to, so their support system around them.
I haven't slept here yet, obviously, but there's beds,
24/7, and volunteers, staff. The number of volunteers here is just mind-boggling. So it merely makes you think about giving back to the community and try. And I've got a couple of friends, and we're all sort of thinking, oh, we could come and do some cooking. Well, you can't. You have to have food safety training. I mean, they're very discriminating about who they bring in. But there was a woman in here on Sunday that came in and played the piano for 2 hours. She's a volunteer. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Some guy was out shoveling the driveway yesterday. I'm sure he was a volunteer. It's really nice for the community.
This is not a place of doom or gloom. Does this look clinical to you? Not at all. It's my home away from home. My family lives in California, and I have no family close to me. But I have a bigger family close to me, and that's my hospice family. They're just terrific.
We're having coffee, and it just seems so easy to say, yes, hey, that's a great idea. But you do get home and you think about it, do I really want to do this?
There was a lot of naysayers who say, you know, this is too big of an event for Sarnia, you'll never get the people out.
A lot of people are quite nervous at the thought, they want to do it, but they don't know if they can do it.
One of the things I started was what I called Wednesday night rides. Wednesday night rides were just called Wednesday night rides because I rode with my own group on the Tuesday and Thursday, and I had Wednesday night spare. So it seemed a logical name for it. And the idea was just to build a small community, help people that were not used to riding in groups, and see where that went. We promoted it online, and the first night we went, we had about 50 people show up. So it was a holy S moment. What do we do now? We've got all these people. Safety was of paramount importance to us. So in other events, they call them a point-to-point race, where you start and finish, and it's a race from start to finish. Here, we develop time sections where you start at a more modest pace, and then you can race. If you want to release your competitive juices, you can race over the time sections. It became a much safer event. Nobody was rushing through stop signs. On warm days, people could afford to take the time to stop. At the fuel stations we have, it's the ideal combination of a social ride and a competitive ride, and be as safe as you can possibly be.
We put a lot of work into it, going to bicycle shops all over southern Ontario and eastern Michigan.
So then we started to advertise, and I had some very good cycling contacts in the Toronto area, and there was a semi-professional team there called Toronto Hustle, and I explained to them what was happening.
If we could just have 200 people show up, we're just like, if we could just have 200, that'd be wonderful, it'd be a success.
Most people didn't think it was going to work.
What the hell do we do with 500 people?
Ride, beautiful day. Shout out to the organizers. They've done a fantastic job, well run, good camaraderie. It's really great.
The organizers have picked a wonderful course. It's a little bit of rolling hills. It's very few cars. It's absolutely terrific.
We live in the city, and so we have to fight traffic all the time. And it's nice out here to be passing all the cows and the farms, and lots of people out here cheering.
Can't even think of a better rider than my friend Z here. She's actually the first quadriplegic to do a Grand Fondo, and we're pretty excited to have her here. She's been smiling the whole way. You talk about teamwork. She's the heart. I'm just simply the legs, and together we're doing the impossible.
It's kind of nice to have a local event like this.
To make it a party type atmosphere, we've got a band, we've got food. The Petroleum Alliance came on board, and the whole thing gelled really well, and the volunteers we had were outstanding.
We had a lady who works in our kitchen here who never cycled before. As a matter of fact, she didn't know that there were gears on a bike. And somebody had to explain to her, you don't have to pedal that hard, you can just change the gears. And so those are the people that never cycled before that we've got into cycling. And you know, she finished the 50K, and she gave me a big hug afterwards. It was like she climbed Mount Everest. It was so important to her.
Then everybody wants to know if we're doing it again the second year.
There's been discussion at the Grand Fondo committee meeting that maybe we shouldn't be putting all our money into education. Maybe we should buy stretchers or you know, wheelchairs or something. And you know, there was a bit of pushback on that.
We started to get questions: how much can you educate somebody about palliative care? Like, it's pretty straightforward. People, after you've taken your basic training, then you should be good to treat all people.
I think there's a big stigma against death, or I don't know if it's fear-based solely, and it's all walks of life, you know, struggle with death.
The very generous funding of Grand Fondo allows us to get world-renowned speakers.
Palliative care can surprise you. You can't be working with someone who is close to death day in, day out without it not causing questions and challenging philosophies. And there's been huge changes in my spiritual life during the years of being a palliative care physician.
There's so many aspects of humanity that defines hospice palliative care. But I think what hospice palliative care really is focused on is the natural progression of our life journey.
I mean, look at being born. That baby is going through a hell to come out to this world, and we mothers do go through this degree, maybe just as one recently, of suffering, but this is a passage. This is a movement from one place to another. And look at that. It is meeting someone who is no longer who they have been and not yet reborn into the who they will be. Isn't that what suffering is all about? Is this transformation, this switch, this changing moment towards another time, another person, an evolution. But how do we do this, us? How do we do this? How do we help people through this transition?
And how to address a very normal and expected outcome for our life, which is dying. I think that aspect of dying is so neglected and phobic that I think one of the missions of hospice palliative care in general is to shed light on the naturalness of it.
The medicalization of death and of all healthcare that was happening in the 1950s and 1960s. So that the people side of care was being lost. And I think by deeply listening to what someone needs at the end of their life has then informed how we should be doing this differently.
Only 3% of us will drop off that cliff and die suddenly. The rest of us are going to need your help to make that journey. And dying is hard work. There's a lot to process and to cope with, and it's, as we've all heard and we know, it's not just a medical event, it is a life event.
Yes, we need the science and the attention to symptoms and good drugs and all the rest of it, but the deepest need of a human being at any time in life, but especially evident as we get close to the end of life, is the human connection, a chance to have meaning. They're wanting both your mind and your heart, and it's an opportunity for us to give it.
The best quality for a physician is kindness and calmness in delivering care. You can have research or background, you can have so many other qualities, but these are the qualities that I hope knowledge and feeling validated, feeling supported, delivers.
I think when they get a chance to come together here, or when they get a chance to come together provincially at the Hospice Palliative Care Provincial Conference, it's like a chance to talk with people about the work that you do, and people laugh, people cry, people get energized and re-energized. It's not just about learning new knowledge or learning new skills. It really is about building relationships.
We made a honeymoon suite on our unit for a very young couple we had, and the wife wasn't going to be able to have the wedding that they had prepared to have, so everything was happening a lot sooner. So when they went out to get married, I think at City Hall, somebody tells somebody, and then everyone in the hospital is running up to help, and it was very interdisciplinary. Like maintenance was involved, helping us, hang streamers and decorations, and the gift shop downstairs was, lending us things. People found out that were coming in to work nights, found out we were making this experience for the patients, so brought in rose petals, and we, got a hospital bed and another one that was spare on a different unit so that we could put them together, so the couple could spend the evening together with some champagne and, all of those nice things that we had for them. So they didn't know we were doing that when they came back. We had this, great honeymoon suite available for them, and that was something I think that without this experience I mightn't have had the confidence to kind of spearhead that, and it allows people to take leadership, I think, over their position on the unit and really achieve change, to benefit our patients and families.
So I had a couple staff members come to me and ask whether or not we would support a program where paramedics could volunteer to take hospice patients for short excursions.
It's as simple as going under the bridge for bridge fries, or as more complex as going to a sporting event like a grandchild or child's hockey game.
Just to put a smile on somebody's face for a last time, maybe, perhaps. Give them something to look forward to.
People need to be more literate about death and dying, and being able to have those conversations with their loved ones and feeling comfortable with that. And I think as we can bring that more into the community, the opportunities for people to be able to utilize the resources that we have surrounding palliative care will just make end of life so much nicer for people.
The speakers are sharing of themselves, and to leave a conference with that, you're enriched. So everyone, the volunteers, everyone will feel the effect of such a conference.
She just felt that she got so much information to help her understanding of what is happening with the patient and her role as a nurse and what she can do to make a better quality of life for her patient.
Okay, are we all good? We've got a few more registered since I printed this off yesterday. We're around just shy of 900, so we'll be sold out. Tristan is going to go through the highlights of the critical path, and whatever we don't get covered today, we'll get in more detail next week. Hey Frankie, it's Ken McAlpine. Wanting to just confirm that you're going to be available for our last Wednesday training ride. Just to be able to ride with somebody that's completed 5 Tour de France's is just amazing. And of course we told them about your 2 trips to the Olympic Games. We just want to go through the budget very quickly for the event and how much you would like to contribute to our budget.
Sounds good. We're not a check writing kind of company, and we're really keen to be able to participate and get involved rather than just be a standard sponsor.
So we give t-shirts out at the training rides, and then we give very expensive Giordana jerseys out.
Do we have
Always,
a sizing chart?
Kathy's going to organize. We have a heat map that's generated from the registration addresses, and they're coming as right across from one side of North America to the other, San Francisco to Philadelphia. And then we have it as far south as a whole team coming from Mexico. And then we have a lot of people coming from Europe.
The time sections have to be up before any of the riders come through.
Of course.
So the flags, if they go up at the same time, we're going to be golden.
You set up the flags, start and finish, but you also set the wire down for the sensor with duct tape.
I don't want you doing that, and I don't
No,
want
I'm not saying that.
No, he's just saying what needs to be done.
He's saying he wants to
coach. He wants to coach Andrew to get it done.
Yeah, that's
right?
how.
And then at the end, Andrew should take everything down.
I'm sorry, but like I did this last year. Like our arrows last year were longer than that.
Okay.
I just think when you're going 35 kilometers an hour and you get a little thing like that, like how are you even going to see it?
You put 2 together.
Yeah.
Right, which means we're going to go through that many more.
Okay, what else do we need then? Because the stage has been great, and we'll just do it the same size as last year with two tiers on it, so the drummer's up a little bit higher. Yep. And you've got all the equipment here, and the Skyways truck will be out with it on Saturday morning, I think. Hey Steph, just wanted to check in with you as far as if you're able to talk to the water guy.
Okay, so if you can just give me a quick tutorial here, Todd, on just so I'm clear, so that I can instruct everybody on how to do this once we get.
So the first step is just to remove this cap.
Okay.
Okay, this is a Dolphin hand pump.
The bike riders are going the right way now, and we've got the fuel station in. Yeah, that looks very good. You do good work.
I'll say the shirt, show packet, pass it on to here. They'll stuff these in there, and then so on and so forth. Number 11 is men's large, and a men's large soft.
That didn't go down, right? Because that's still. So back up the water to where they.
All
right.
Last one.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Kathy, your bag's
97.
Now that you're retired, I need somebody with your outlook on life.
When you get back on the back, you don't want to have to sprint to get on that wheel, and everybody's flying by you. You want to just like, oh, I'm just kind of slotting back in, and it's easy to go.
There you go, my dear. Yep, have a seat. Hi, I just would like to get everyone's attention, if I could, for a moment, please. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. What an awesome turnout. Thanks again.
You need paint for us?
We're doing both the 100, 150.
We'll work together. When we get out to Arcona, I'll probably send you guys ahead to do the 100, and then we can just do the 150.
Right around, yeah. Right around.
Ken has been telling me about the Blue Water Grand Fondo for years now, and you know, and just kind of like didn't really connect, like Blue Water Grand Fondo, why is that? And then I came across the bridge and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's blue water here. And so I was so blown away at how beautiful it was. And I was like, wow, this is like the Caribbean. I'm like, we're here in Canada. So I was really, really surprised, and it's so exciting just to be a part of this, to be here in the Blue Water Grand Fondo. And I think that name is starting to get out there.
It's not just a cycling event. It's a cycling event that's changing a community. For those of you from out of town, we do 12 weeks of training rides. And we have well over 200 people registered in those weekly training rides who are getting bikes, going cycling, meeting people, building relationships, and getting fit. Our Grand Fondo is completely 100% volunteer driven, and all of the money raised at the Grand Fondo is 100% funded back into palliative care education in our community. So that money is divided between, thank you. Our community is a great place to die. Better place to live, yes. And nobody's going to die on the course tomorrow, okay? Guaranteed.
Organization is fabulous. From registration on Friday night, picking up the packet, the information, getting ready for the ride, and showing up today, parking, timing, chips, everything.
Superb. Very well organized. Everything's very slick.
I volunteer at hospice in London. I work in the kitchen. I'm there every week, and I love it. I would say that we have not nearly enough hospices and palliative care. We need to get the word out and get some more open.
We woke up one morning and heard bagpipes, and there were a whole bunch of things there that weren't there the night before.
And it was really funny because I was sound asleep and Jim comes running and saying, "You gotta see this, come out and see this." So then it kind of grew after that into our deck being open for anyone who wants to come and sit down and watch, or cyclists coming back. Anyone that wants anything to eat or drink, we've got it for you.
Till it's gone.
My grandma last year, when we were leaving from Sarnia to go back home, I saw a bunch of bikers, and my mom told me that she was biking, and so I decided that I wanted to do it with her.
3, 2, 1. Up and running, everybody. Stay safe out there.
Some of the Toronto Hustle. This is a big group of 150 riders right here. Let's hear it. Way to go, ladies and gentlemen. Good job. Way to go. Yeah, there's a lot of ladies in there. Congratulations, ladies. Good for you.
The roads are beautiful, immaculate. The sun was out, nice soft breeze, rolling terrain, and everyone's here to have fun. We're raising money for a great cause. Ken and the team down here put on one of the best events in Ontario, and it's just always on our calendar and something that we're really looking forward to. Today was maybe the best one yet.
What made it the best one?
I think it's just the people that you get to talk to people from the area, people from all over that come down to this ride, talk about the training and the preparation, what this event means to them. That's a big achievement for anyone, so it's very rewarding.
Muchas gracias, Gran Fondo.
So in January, I went out to my routine visit to see my mom, who was 90. And when I got there, she clearly wasn't well. The surgeon says, we can operate, but there's a 50% chance you'll die on the table. And if you make it out of the operating room, you may not make it out of ICU because you'd have to go to ICU. And so my mom says, well, obviously there's no decision. Can I go home? And I said, absolutely. We had the most amazing 2 weeks. The number of special things that happened, you know, I gotta be careful here. So my middle son, his wife was pregnant, so he actually told her that they were going to name the baby after my father. So she knew that. Nobody else knew that. So she had all these secrets. There was all sorts of little things that happened that way, which would never have happened if she'd gone to ICU or gone to the operating room. You know, so it's just kind of when you personally live that story.
Fortunately, there's a better understanding and appreciation of what good medical care is about. Trying to revisit what some of the maybe extreme treatments that are offered for very little benefit.
They're trying to provide hope to the patient, but in the end, it may not change anything other than adding to the pain and suffering rather than alleviating it.
Because one of the problems is people are told there's no choice. And palliative care is a very viable choice, and many times is a better choice.
Palliative care is a discussion that we need to continue to promote. Many families are still uncomfortable with it. Many other care providers are uncomfortable with going there. It feels like failure to them. And we need to help people understand and embrace it, because it's really, it ultimately helps them deal with the questions of mortality that we all have to wrestle with at some point.
The work we do is so rewarding. It's so unbelievably so, because patients share their most intimate fears, and you witness their strength, you witness their family's strength, and you are strengthened by it.
They're not people who want to walk away. They're people who want to pitch in, who want to help. They're compassionate, they're committed, and we're lucky that they're there.
When the time does come, they're there. They're there for the family, they're there for the patient. They give the support and compassion needed, and they do it with dignity and grace.
These patients are still very much alive in my mind and heart.
Can you believe that 4 years ago when we met for coffee, and Ken, you brought up the idea of having a Sarnia Grand Fondo, that it actually would have happened?
And it had grown to this size, and John was so enthusiastic about it. I didn't really know him at the time. It was actually you that introduced John and me that day. And here, I can't get rid of the guy now.
You never know what happens when you get up in the morning, what you're going to start.
Ken tells me, times that, he didn't sleep very well the night before. Well, that's because it's all he thinks about is what's next.
One conversation I had with Dr. Madison is very clear. When we put some of the advertising paperwork together for the first one, I had put on it first annual. And he said, "You sure you're not getting ahead of yourself here? Like, this might be a one-time only, just slow down."
I've joked with the community that all this added bicycling is going to put us out of business as a hospital, and I think that's a good thing. We're in one of the rare businesses where success for us is fewer patients coming to the door. So if the Grand Fondo can accomplish that, I also think that's an added benefit of this whole endeavor.
And maybe in some way, it'll cut down my work in many years to come by keeping people fitter and less chance of getting cancer. That's a stretch, but who knows?
How's your day?
Good.
Save any lives?
That's not the object of the game.
There's no easy way to start this song. There's no easy way to end. I fought long and hard against the tide. Waves now crash on my mind as I cast through my yesteryears to a stage, an age, my prime. The days of youth now fades away, if only to turn back time. This is my story, my farewell swan song, my last chance to say I love you just before the dawn. This is my story, my farewell swan song, my last chance to say I love you just before I'm gone. There's no easy way to sing this song. There's no easy way to end. My voice is lost beneath a sea of heartache that can't ascend. The coastline's a distant view, on its white sand lies my sail, while at the helm and turn full lock I'm heading straight for a gale. This is my story, my farewell swan song, my last chance to say I love you just before the dawn. This is my story, my farewell swan song, my last chance to say I love you just before I'm gone.